Hi, I'm Peter Rose, founder of Longwood Currency Trading. Do you need a college degree to trade Forex? An interesting question, and I want to address that, as well as some other stuff that I'd like to talk with you about today, because I've had some really cool emails from some of you. Thank you very much for taking the time to send me an email. I try to get back to everybody as soon as I can, and just to have a conversation and get to know folks that are watching the channel and trying to get their Forex trading moving in the right direction. And some of you have your Forex trading moving in the right direction, and we have a good chat about that. But there's an underlying, I guess, theme in the folks that are either thinking about getting ready to get into trading of some kind, and they're looking at the Forex market, and they're seeing the complexity of that market. That's the first smart thing that you can do, is you can recognize that the Forex market is the most complex market that there is to trade. However, if you have the right plan, methodology, I go into all those details in other videos, but if you have the right plan, the right education, then you can make trading that market simple, even though there's a complex market there. A car is a very complex thing, but it's very simple to drive, to eliminate all the complexity by knowing some key things. So I think the fear of a lot of people is, how do I compete with all these people that have all this education? Well, look, I have a lot of education. I got a bachelor's degree in physics, almost a minor in math. I was a software engineer for 33 years. I did real estate investment for over 40 years. I retired a millionaire from those investing process. I've had a good life, and I'm educated. The question is, did I need any of that education to be successful? Well, to be a software engineer, I certainly did. But to do real estate, I didn't. You pick up a book and take a course, and my only advantage in the real estate was one of my karate students. I've been in martial arts for 55 years, if you don't know my backstory. But one of my karate students early on, he was a real estate broker, and we just kind of casually started talking about real estate, and he invited me down to the office to see what that was all about. And I parked myself in a chair in his office, and I basically lived there to see what he did and how he did it, why he did it. And I got my salesman's license, and I got my broker's license, and I got studied real estate finance, so I knew what the other people on the other side of the fence were doing. I never did it as brokerage. I did it to buy my own and sell my own real estate. I didn't need a college education. I didn't need any physics degree. I didn't need any math to do that. There are occupations that you can do that you don't need advanced education, sporadic education. You can go to technical school to be an auto mechanic, or I don't know, you can take skill classes in golfing if you want to end up doing golf as a career. There's lots of things that you can do that you can educate in that particular field, and you don't need the broad-based education in order to do that, or the highly skilled technical education work. There's a guy on YouTube, Ali Abdal, who was a doctor in England, and he started out on YouTube teaching people how to pass their exams to get in to be a doctor in Britain. And he enjoyed the YouTube process really well, and went on and started a YouTube channel, and does millions of dollars a year in sales. And he was a doctor, a really smart guy. So really smart people can do really simple things, and people who don't have a college degree can do really simple things, as long as the thing is made simple. Doing a YouTube channel is not simple as somebody getting involved to be a creator. I don't consider myself a creator. I'm just talking to a camera. That's pretty easy. But if you're trying to make your money by selling something or trying to be a creator, that's a really difficult process. So if you don't have any education, you look at that and you go, oh, I don't know how I would do all that. Well, that's why you would take a specific course. It doesn't matter whether you have a doctor's degree or an engineering degree or a history degree or a master's degree in music theory. You don't need any of that stuff. What you need is a passion and an interest for what you're doing. One of the first questions that I ask people when they ask me, well, how much does it cost to take your course? Or I want to learn how to trade. Well, wait a minute. Did you just wake up yesterday morning and decide that you were unhappy with your job? That's nothing new. 85% of the W-2 workers in the United States today they hate their job. So that's not unique. Why did you decide all of a sudden to contact me? Because you want to trade Forex. How much background do you have in it? How much have you studied and learned? And what do you know about it in order to make the determination that you want to do it? Oh, you just want to make money. Well, find something that you're good at or that you know about, instead of saying, oh, I want to make money, and I see all these fools driving around in Lambos with their ball caps on backwards, and so that's what I want. Well, you're not going to get that. That's not there for you. You're going to end up losing all your money. Or you're going to be trading on your phone with somebody's signal service after they've talked shit to you about how to trade and all that stuff, and 50% of the people on those signal services fail. The other 50%, the guy advertises, look how successful my students are. You don't know that. So you go in, and if you are successful, then you'll be on the ad as part of the successful team. Next month, you lose, and you're out. You've lost your money. But it doesn't matter, because someone else has already come in to take your place because of the people that are successful. People that are hawking courses and trading about all the money that they're making, if you see somebody out there driving around in a Lambo and talking about all the money that they're making in currency trading, that ain't the person that you want to talk to about making money in currency trading, because they're doing it as a game. They're doing it to sell courses. They're not doing it to make money. Maybe they can make money in trading, but can they teach you? If you don't have a formal education, it might be difficult for you to see the facade that some of these people are putting up. That's the only reason you might want an education. If you are looking at doing things like listening to YouTube channels and picking directions to go in, Amazon FBA or trading or I don't know, agency work or whatever, you've got to be able to differentiate whether the person, number one, really is successful. Number two, is to whether they can teach their success to you. Do they, in their video presentations, do they appear to have a process that not only they could follow, but a process that they could explain to you so that you could follow it as well? That's the only caveat that I would suggest to you if you don't have higher education, is that you learn how to differentiate some phony shit that's out there from something that is legit. The stuff that I do, for example, follows a sound educational principles. But if you haven't been through an educational process, you may not appreciate what an educational process can do for you. You wouldn't look at it as any different than the worst teacher you ever had up there on the blackboard teaching algebra and just putting shit up on the board, and you're going, I don't get this, I don't understand that. Whereas a good teacher will put stuff up there and they'll explain it so that you can understand it, and you go, oh, I understand what to do. I remember when I was in college getting my physics degree, I was in a math class. It was advanced. It was differential equations. It was advanced stuff, transformations and stuff, and I just wasn't getting it. I was in this math class, and they were teaching all this shit, and I said, I can't. I don't see it. I don't understand what you're talking about. So I went to my physics teacher, professor, who I was friends with, and I said, I don't understand this shit, and we're going to be using this stuff in the physics that we're going to be getting involved in your course. Can you help me? And he goes, oh yeah, no problem. Math, just guys know how to teach. Don't really know how to teach this stuff. They know how to use it, but we know how to apply it. So let me show you how you apply the thing, and then you'll understand what to do. And in 20 minutes on a whiteboard, and he filled the whole thing up, actually, with a whiteboard back then, it was a blackboard. It laid the process out for solving these really complex equations and understanding Bessel functions and all that kind of shit that we're going to Taylor series expansions and all the kind of shit that you get into in math that make no sense unless you can show an application for it. The math guy, for example, was talking about a Taylor series and talking about out to the seventh thing and how you do all that. When I talked to my physics teacher, he goes, oh, don't worry about it. You're just doing this, and every next component to that is going another decimal point down in efficiency or correctness. As if you're calculating resistance of a ball rolling down a plane, you don't need to be out to the fifth decimal point to calculate resistance. You just have to know that there's some resistance there, and you go out to the second point, or your resistance is 3.25. You might want to go out to that second decimal point down. But the rest of it you can eliminate. Just get rid of it because it's chatter. And then he explained why it was chatter. So all of a sudden then I understood the whole process for the different kinds of series, mathematical series that the mathematicians were trying to teach, but the physicists showed me how to apply that. But there's a big difference. So even though I'm smart and I can get involved in complex things, the complex things can be overpowering and ununderstandable until you find somebody that knows how to teach it to you. So if you don't know something, are you going to be able to go to a book and read it, and then all of a sudden you want to put $20,000 of your money on the line to try it? No, you're going to try it in a demo account. And the demo account is totally false environment. That's like the Wizard of Oz. Don't look behind the curtain. Pay no mind to the man behind the curtain, because not what it seems to be. When you are in a position where you've read something about the Forex market, and I'm only going to be talking about the Forex market because I'm only interested in trading Forex. Back in the mid-1970s, I started studying the stock market. I've studied all about the stock market. I traded stock options for 4 years. I've studied futures and commodities. I never traded them, but I've studied them. I did real estate for 40 years, and I've been looking at the currency market since 2007. This is 2025. So I have the spectrum of financial products that are out there. And on my website, longwoodcurrencytrading.com, if you haven't been there, take a look. But on the currency trading page, I list 7 reasons why I think the currency market is the best of the financial markets available to retail traders. So when someone asks me, oh, do I need this education? Do I need to do that? I said, no. What you need to understand is what is the currency market and why do I feel, because you're asking me, why I feel that the currency market is the best vehicle for retail traders. So go to my website and read that. And then they come back to me and go, oh, that's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool. In 2007, I had never heard of the currency market before. It was just beginning to be started where retail traders could participate in it. And I was made aware by a TV ad, of all things, of a book on currency trading. I'd never heard of currency trading before, and I'm watching this. It was a video ad. You'd call it a VSL on the internet today, but that's what it was. It was an ad for this person's book. So I bought the book because didn't know anything about it. I'm inquisitive. I bought the book. I read the book and I go, holy shit. Holy shit. If I would have known this stuff, 30 years before, I would have never got into real estate. I would have got into this in a heartbeat. And it was at that point that I started really studying the currency market, but I was doing it more as an academic exercise because I really enjoyed learning about it. I was doing real estate at the time. I was a software engineer. I was running a karate school. I was a pretty busy boy. So I didn't want to get involved in currency trading until 2012 when I started to think about retiring, and which I did in 2015, and start selling my real estate properties. At least in 2007, everything was moving along really well, and I had income from the real estate, and I was doing software engineering. I loved software engineering, so life was good. But the more that I read, and because I am educated, the more I learned. And that came back to bite me later. I always said when I talk with somebody, are you an engineer? Are you a technical person? Because if you're an engineer, you're going to have a harder time learning currency trading than somebody who's a taxi driver with little education and simply an awareness of the 7 reasons why I think the currency market is the best retail market. And they may not know all about the rest of the market, but when I say, oh, there's a lock limit in the commodities market, they go, oh, that would be bad if I got caught in a lock limit move. Oh, I can see what a pattern day trader in the stock market is and why that requires $25,000 to get in. Okay, I see what you're saying. I don't understand any of these things, but you've explained what they are and what's bad about it. And I can see that that's something that I wouldn't want to do. But I can see the good things that you're talking about, the currency market. They're not involved in any of those bad things. That's cool. I'd be interested in learning that. That's really clever. I enjoy crossword puzzles, or I like playing Monopoly, or I'm a poker player and I enjoy the challenge of probabilities and things. Well, you make a great currency market trader student. Whereas the guy that comes in as an engineer, he thinks he knows every fucking thing about the world. Oh yeah, tell me, what are your rules? And I'm going to figure this out. I was talking to a guy the other day, I wasn't talking to him, but through email. He doesn't know shit from shit about the currency market. And he's talking about the strategies that he's used. And they're from different books and things. And then I said, what you're saying doesn't make any sense because you don't understand what you're doing. Well, when this happens and this happens, then this is what I'm going to do. Oh, really? Well, have you tried that in real time and in real money? Well, yeah, I got a little mini account. And well, how'd that work out for you? Well, it didn't work out. And then I'd get an email 2 weeks later from me and you go, geez, I've been thinking about this new strategy. What would you think about if I did this? What? You don't know anything about what you're doing and you're coming up with a strategy? I don't understand that. When you get somebody who's highly educated, they want to figure it out. Well, it's already been figured out. Why don't you figure out how to build a car engine before you buy a car? Well, I don't have to do that because somebody already did that. Well, no shit. We've already got things all figured out as to how you can trade the currency market in a simple manner. Why would you want to try to figure it out? There's nothing to figure out. It's simple. And these are the 3 steps that we're going to look at as far as looking at the currency market as a whole. And we're going to solve the currency market with 3 rules, 3 problems, what I call the life cycle of a currency position: entry analysis, position management, and exit methodology. Is that sound simple to you? Yep. And they're going to try to make it complicated. So the less education that you have, the less proclivity you're going to have to try to figure it out. A really good engineer is going to come in and go, oh, how do I take the engineering skills and background that I have to figure this stuff out? And I go, throw it all out, but use the logic that those skills gave you in order to look at the rules that I'm presenting and how we glue this stuff together so that you can see where the end result is coming. And from a mathematical standpoint, I'll walk you through the math, because you're a technical person, so you'll understand the math, which is simple arithmetic, but I'll walk you through the math as to why this is going to work. If you do this, then these are the natural things from that. In my fast track course, one of the first things I discuss about that is a cannonball. Where's it going to land? If I know the angle of the cannon and how much powder is in there and the weight of the cannonball, I can calculate exactly where that thing is going to land. It's a parabolic curve. It's the laws of nature. So as long as I understand and have control over the parameters, how much powder I'm putting in the cannon, that can't be, well, I'm going to tell you how much powder goes in the cannon. No, I got to figure out how much powder goes in the cannon in order to go 800 feet, for the ball to go 800 feet or 1,000 feet. So the currency market follows the laws of nature, follows the laws of physics and mathematics. It has to, because all random systems still have order to them. That's all about Brownian motion. And Einstein's work in Brownian motion proves that and shows the equations for random motion and calculating probabilistic outcomes. So if you can understand that a cannonball's position can be calculated exactly, then the expectation of what you should be able to do in currency trading can be expressed to you in simple rules. If you do this, and if you do this, and if you do this, then you should be able to make 20% against your risk. If you do these things, you should be able to get 40% on your risk. Are you going to be able to get 40% on your risk? I don't know. Because if you don't follow the rules, if you don't put enough powder in the cannon because you think your powder is better or whatever, you're trying to figure something out that's already been figured out, the cannonball isn't going to go as far as you thought that it should go. And then you're going to blame the cannonball instead of you. The biggest problem that you will have as a Forex trader is understanding where the blame lies when things don't work out. They're not in the system. They're not in the market. Nobody's stop hunting you. Nobody gives a shit. And the institutional traders don't care whether you live or die. This is just the facts of life. The market's too big. We're 2025 here. We're $6.7 trillion a day. It dwarfs all the stock markets combined. Do you think anybody cares about your 3 mini lots or your $100,000 account or your 8 lots that you're trading? No. You could trade 60 lots and it's shit dust. So what do you need to figure out? Do you need to figure out equations for motion for solving currency? No. You just look at the chart. And there's some rules that you look at that say, from a probabilistic standpoint, it looks like, boom. It's like playing poker. From a probabilistic standpoint, this guy's got something locked up in his hand, and I'm just going to throw my hand away. Or from a probabilistic standpoint, that guy doesn't have what he's going to have, so I'm going to double up on my bet on him. Did you have to calculate anything? No, because your experience just tells you the guy ain't got shit. Your experience will tell you when you're sitting there trading currencies whether you should get out or go in and whether there's even a trade there. When I get up in the morning and turn the computer on and the trading platform comes up, I can look at the chart and I know in about 15 seconds one of 3 things. There's either a trade brewing right then, and I need to sit down and do it. There may be a trade later. It looks like if certain things happen, and that could be in the next 10 or 20 minutes, or maybe the next hour or something like that. I just need to be aware that something could manifest itself that there would be a trade possibility there. And third, there isn't anything going on, so I didn't even have to sit and look at this trading screen. I'm going to go have a cup of coffee. Because if I sit down at the trading screen with my cup of coffee staring at the fucking screen, I'm going to find a trade. I'm going to try to make a trade, which is called an anticipatory trade, and I'm screwed. So one of three things, 15 seconds, something I got to look at right now, something I might be able to look at in 15 minutes or a couple hours, or there's nothing here that's going to be of interest to me at all, and I'm out. That's currency trading. It's as simple as that. But you can make it as complex as you want to. It's just whether you believe the person who's working with you as to whether they are able to convey to you the simplicity that they see in the charts. And they are not seeing that simplicity through fucking Bollinger Bands, fibs, and all the rest of the shit that they're talking about. That is beyond comprehension and ignorant. I've got, and I rely on this, and whether you can trust it or not, a bachelor's degree in physics and almost a minor in math. I think I know a little bit about what a Bollinger Band is and floating RSIs and all the rest of the shit that people are talking about. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time trying to figure out what the Fed's going to do and what the interest rate differential is going to do to the unemployment rate, and whether that's going to trickle down and deal with the mortgage rates and where we're going to be, and how's that going to affect the currency market for the euro dollar versus the Swiss franc and the dollar. I mean, do you have to know any of that, go through any of that shit? No. And there are very specific reasons why you don't want to do any of that. Because the currency market, as a day trader, you're only concerned with what it's going to go do in the next 2 hours, because then you got to go to work because you have a job. So you got to make it count. Today, there's nothing to do. So get to work early, and so you can get out early. There's something to do right now. Great. Sit down, make a trade. At the end of that series, whether the trade is in your favor or not in your favor or whatever you want to do, you just close it out because you got to go to work. As you get more experience, you can float a stop behind it, and life is good. It's a no-lose situation. But in learning how to do this stuff, it's simple. There's only one rule that you have to learn with 4 conditions as to how to get into the trade. Because if you can't get into the trade and have that run a little bit, you don't have a position to manage and you don't have anything to exit out of. So it's really simple. You don't have to know 3 rules. You have to know just the first one. And it's easy. There's 4 conditions. They're 4 simple conditions. And all you got to do is look at the chart, and 15 seconds you can figure that out. That's how simple I make it. Because I lost $40,000 the first time I loaded a heavy account up, $45,000. Boom, gone. And that's what jacked me. I said, this is too complicated. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm a pretty smart guy. I shouldn't have lost $40,000. I backed up from it. I took my and saw that I was solving the wrong problem, and wrote the 3 rules down that I was able to figure out. This is based on my software engineering background, how to solve complex problems. And I took those 3 rules. They haven't changed since 2018. This is 2025. Those rules haven't changed. And I took my remaining $5,000 and almost doubled that in about 4.5 months. I was $200 within doubling. I said, this is great. We're starting a new month. I'll pop another 10 grand in. By the end of the month, I threw another 50 grand into the account because I had confidence in what I was doing. Does that mean I've never lost before? No. 2023, I lost 6 figures because I didn't follow my rules. Simple rules. Tried to figure it out. I tried to say, oh, the economy is going to do this and this, you have this, blah, 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 and little Ed, the little green bridge troll that sits on my left ear and whispers stupid shit in my left ear. I listened to Ed, and I lost 6 figures because of that. Isn't that stupid? And it is. Who do I have to blame? I have to blame the institutions or anything? No, I blame myself. But boy, I learned what not to do for sure. And I learned where my weaknesses are. So, is it difficult? No, it's not difficult. But once you try to figure something out, it becomes dangerous, because then you think you know what you're doing instead of looking at the chart and just doing what the chart is telling you to do. That's the danger. So if you can follow rules that are simple, and you know that they're simple because you built them. I didn't build them. I show you how you can construct the rules, but they have to be constructed for you and for what you want to do. You may not want to be a day trader. You may want to be a long-term position trader. I advise against that, but if that's where your personality lies, then you can take the rules that we develop together as a day trader, and you can map those up into long-term position trading when you want to. But you could not learn how to be a long-term position trader and map those rules down and be a day trader or do scalping or swings. It doesn't work that way. Now, a lot of people would disagree with that. I'm sorry, I have too much of a math and background, and I'm not going to argue with you about it. I'm just telling you the facts about what's happening. That's why I start everybody out as a day trader. Do you need an advanced education or any kind of specific education at all in order to learn how to trade currencies? No, you do not. That's the good news. And the better news to that is that even if you have an education, if it's been a good education, you'll be able to use that to your advantage and proceed ahead with the simple rules and have a lot of fun trading currencies. Trading currencies shouldn't be stressful. God, you see these guys on YouTube, they're all stressed out and they're doing all this stuff. Why? Why? You're either going to win or lose. And once you develop a good winning process where you win more times than you lose, and the amount that you win when you win is a little bit more than what you lose when you lose, you'll never have to work another day in your life. And that's how you replace your job income. Can you do that in 6 months of trading, replace your job income? You can learn the skills that will enable you to do that. You just need a larger bank. If you're making $60,000 a year, you're not going to replace your job income on a $20,000 account. I just guarantee you that, unless you take the chance of trading at 500 to 1. And then you'll be successful maybe for 1 year, and you'll replace your job income, and you'll quit your job and all that stuff. Life is good, and then you're going to lose $60,000, you lose $80,000, you lose $100,000, like that, boom. Because trading at high leverage will ultimately catch up with you, just like reaching out and put your hand on a stove that's going on and off all the time, like the cat jumps up on that stove. A lot of times, nothing happens. The one time that cat jumps up on that stove and burns his paws on that thing, he's never going to jump up on that stove again. But he's already lost his paws. So by having someone work with you that has two things. Number one is, first of all, the ability to convey information to you that's correct and valid in a manner in which you're able to understand it. And number two, the information that is being conveyed to you logically proceeds in a sequential order for the solution of the problem that you're trying to solve, which is to replace your job income, or at least significantly impact that job income from your trading. Peter Rose, Longwood Currency Trading. Have a great day and have a great trading day.